Now, one of the terms that you're going to hear as you tell people you're learning hypnosis is the term conversational hypnosis. Now, the idea behind conversational hypnosis is that without doing a formal process, we can actually use language patterns to create an experience of hypnosis and an outcome that's desired. So there are some pretty fancy terms associated with this. One is transderivational search. It's kind of a fun term to learn how to say. Transderivational search. And what it really means is that when a message is conveyed, a listener has to look inside of themselves in order to find an answer. And probably where we see this used more than anything else is in the world of advertising. So, for example, an advertiser might ask a question. What would it be like if you had the cleanest clothes in town? Now, I have to look inside of myself in order to find an answer to that. And when I look inside of myself to find an answer, it would be wonderful, wouldn't it, to have the cleanest clothes in town. And so a transderivational search is a method of conversational hypnosis that asks a person to look inside of themselves in order to find an answer. That's a simple explanation of the TDS, or transderivational search. This is really a very powerful linguistic technique. It can be used in everything ranging from sales to ministry to social work to parenting or to really any other area of love and of life, love and relationships, for example. We also know that direct suggestion can be useful. I know as you're watching this video, there's some distraction around you, maybe a TV or some kids or some other people in the office or some noise outside. Go ahead and simply focus on me right now. That was an example of a direct suggestion. Go ahead and focus on me right now. There's nobody with this video playing right now who's actually not looking directly at me. I've used hand gestures and I've used a direct suggestion. Go ahead and pay attention to me right now. Just let all those other things remain off to the side. So the idea of conversational hypnosis is that with our words and with our language, we can actually affect or impact outcomes. Now, sometimes people will say, well, this isn't really true hypnosis, or, this is an actual trance. I think it is hypnotic, and I think it certainly does utilize the trance states that people experience. One of the ideas of conversational hypnosis is a pattern interrupt. I was once with a psych patient. This was years ago. I was working in an inpatient treatment facility, and he was a kid who had a history of psychosis. He had recently had a psychotic break. He was hospitalized. He was on medication. He was stabilized. He was actually doing pretty well. And so I had left my offices with him, and we'd walked up to the cafeteria to get something to drink, maybe a snack, sort of break up the 50-minute therapy session into smaller increments so it was actually doable. But here I was out here with him, and even though to this point he had been functioning fine, but he had these profound departures from reality, and he also had a significant history of violence. This was a treatment program where most of our clients were actually referred from the juvenile criminal justice system. And as I was walking with him, he sort of began to have this look, and he wasn't quite following me any longer. And I realized that this is that point where he was about ready to depart reality again. And I also knew that because we had walked up to the cafeteria, there wasn't other staff members around, and he was a pretty big teenager, and I'm not really a big therapist, and I began to even get a little bit worried. What if at this point he becomes agitated and tries to hurt me? And no one's going to hear my screams out here alone. And so I simply looked at him and I said to him, "Hey, do you have a dog?" I mean, it was so out of the blue. It was such a left field question. It had absolutely nothing to do with anything that was going on at that moment. And he just sort of looked at me through that haze and said, "Of course I have a dog." By the way, I knew he had a dog, so we had talked about the dog in therapy before. And so I said to him, "What kind of dog is it again?" And he said, "It's a mutt." And I said, "Cool. I got a dog. Come on, let's keep walking." And he followed me all the way back to the office. That's an example of a pattern interrupt. Now, that was a pattern interrupt with a mental health client, but we can use a pattern interrupt with just about anyone to immediately remove them from where they are or what their experience is to a new experience. Just the other day, actually, since I recorded that video with Alex, we were actually sitting in my car. We were at a red light, and we were that first car waiting for the light to turn green so we could go. And we'd been having conversation, and we had been talking, and it was on Labor Day, so it was a relaxing Labor Day afternoon. There wasn't too much traffic. And all of a sudden, a Camaro came through the intersection making a left turn without yielding, and a pickup truck came through and smashed it right in front of me. And I went instantly from relaxed into a state of hypervigilance and anxiety. I was once in a car accident where the same thing happened, but the car that crashed actually crashed into my parked car at the red light. And so as soon as this accident happened, not something either one of us expected on a lazy holiday afternoon, instantly we moved from probably a theta level of simply relaxing at the red light and having conversation, maybe even to that gamma level of high brainwave activity because of the pattern interrupt that occurred. Now, these are all examples of pattern interrupts, transderivational searches, and then language patterns. Language patterns are specific word choices that we might use because they yield a result. So in Hypnosis 101, probably one of the first language patterns I should teach you is the word find. Find is an awesome word. When was the last time you found something? Have you ever found a $10 bill or a $20 bill or even a $100 bill? Have you ever been cleaning up your house and found something you forgot you had lost, but it was important to you and now you know where it is and you're never going to lose it again? When you were a kid, did you ever think about finding buried treasure somewhere? Finding something is important to us, and we almost always associate that with something positive. So when I'm talking to clients, I want to use this power word. I want to say to my client, and you will find that, fill in the blank, that this process is beneficial to you. Or you will find that it's easy to step into a new experience. Before I ever do a hypnosis session, I've probably used the word find several times because it's a hypnotic word that's very positive, and it also causes the client, transderivational search, to look inside of themselves to discover if that's truly what they would like to find. So we can do an entire course on conversational hypnosis, and this is not a course on conversational hypnosis. I'm going to go in the next couple of videos and teach you a basic process. But I'm sharing this with you now because I want to stress that hypnosis does not begin when we have them sit in a recliner and close their eyes. Hypnosis actually begins with our very first contact with the client. So my first contact with my client is almost always when they come in my door for their first session. I have probably not talked to my clients before. I have an office manager who handles that. She books the appointment. And so let's say it's Tuesday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I have an appointment with a new client. Let's call him Bob. I know Bob is coming. It's 2 o'clock. I hear the elevator down the hallway open, and I hear somebody walking down the hall. I know that it's probably Bob, so I'm ready for my client. And as soon as my office door opens up and he steps in, I stand up from my desk and I walk around the side, and I walk over and extend my hand and say, Bob, it is great to have you here. I am Richard. And make a little bit of eye contact. And you know, Bob will shake my hand, and then I'll say to Bob, and go ahead and have a seat right here, the seats that are usually in front of the desk. And I'll say, go ahead and have a seat right there. And as I'm walking around to the side, I will almost always say something like, you know, many other people have sat in those same seats as they have started the pathway to success. And as I walk around and sit in my chair, I haven't done any formal hypnosis, but I've used hypnotic language. Many other people. This is what we call an unreferenced index. Who are these many other people? Bob doesn't know the answer to that. So Bob has to ask the question, transderivational search, am I a people? And the answer to that's going to be yes. And if he's a people, logic tells him What? That he's sitting in a chair where other people have experienced success, and so therefore he's going to be experiencing success. I also started out by making eye contact, shaking his hand, and by letting him know that I was glad that he was there. That's an incredible way to start a hypnosis session. It's hypnotic. It's power. It builds rapport. And so as I teach you a process for formal hypnosis, recognize that every interaction we have with our clients is suggestive. Every interaction we have with clients is an opportunity to anchor success. Even beginning in that first telephone call or the moment they walk in the door. This is really the core idea of conversational hypnosis, and this explanation really is sufficient for this course. By the time you're done with this course, you can take advanced training or other courses that we offer and that others offer in the area of conversational hypnosis. And I am, throughout the rest of the sessions, going to give you some ideas or some ways that you can take the formal process I'm going to be teaching you and apply it informally in conversation with a wide variety of different individuals. But recognize that the most important element of this video is to recognize that all of our interactions with our clients are hypnotic, and we can always be suggesting positive outcomes that our clients will find bring them success.